All right, Libra. I like it. I don't think that it's bad at all. With the Ice Queen, she did show up as a challenge, but I think that that's better than non-action, which is what she represents in the upright or as an ally. But this week from Halloween, you pulled Night Song, Hidden Talents, and then the Ice Queen. Ideas preserve non-action and entitlement. The only thing that it talks about as far as a challenge here is giving up this idea of ownership and keeping yourself in, this frozen self-induced limitation. It's saying that you need to let go of ownership in general and be grateful for and enjoy what you've been gifted with. And then looking at Night Song, that is your gift, right? It's time for you to own up to your gifts and step into your true potential here and claim all possibilities for yourself. It's a beautiful thing. If you've got hidden talents, then it is time for action. All right, Libra. Here's your overall for the week. The 7 of Wands. So for some of you, needing to stand up for yourself. Defending your choices, your position here. Like I've always said, I'm not taking any more shit. This is how I feel, where I stand. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of being halted on that feeling, though. Like, there may have been something that you've chosen to do that you now need to defend that choice. But, again, with the 7 of Wands, you're on the higher ground here. They're not going to knock you down, but there may be opposition, possibly. Oh boy. All right. So in the past, the 10 of Swords. This to me looks like, definitely making a new choice here. And then with the Ace of Cups showing up, definitely it could be about a new opportunity. But with the 10 of Swords as the past coming through, we're talking about something that didn't end in a very good way. And that may be why some of you are needing to defend what you're doing now. Meeting opposition because maybe, things didn't work out so well before. What makes you think things are going to change now? But, that's the voice of others. I still see this as a good thing, even though you've faced this. In the present, the 10 of Wands, and that may be, but I'm going to wait here to see. But looking at the 10 of Wands in the present moment, the reason why you may be defending what you're doing now is because you're just loading yourself down. There may be some other things that, you need to finish off here before you even think about beginning something new. But again, you look at the 10s and then you have the 7. It's time now. Like, it's time. It's time for all of that to be over with and the new beginnings to start rolling through. And the other thing though too is if you are choosing to do something new, are you weighing yourself down with other things that you need to finish up? But Temperance in future conditions. And that to me, when I see her, I think needing to get balance or equilibrium, right? But then I also feel like guidance, but then if we're talking about being temperate, it's needing to not throw that patience and moderation out the window, but at the same time here, you're still like defending yourself. And it could be that, you need to get yourself in a better position before you take on any more than what you already have on your plate. But I don't see it as a bad thing. Your best path to follow, the Knight of Pentacles, slow and steady wins the race, right? I don't think that this is about non-action because again, the Ice Queen showed up as a challenge here. In the upright, she's about preserving things and not being the right time to do it. With her showing up as the challenge, it's saying now is the time. Now, as far as the Knight of Pentacles, though, the methodical, right? Persistence, but, there's a certain, path that needs to be followed before, progress can be made. It's like there are certain things that have to be dealt with first before you can actually start to see real progress. But because of things not going so well before, that may be why, people may be opposing what you're choosing to do now. But I don't think that they understand almost. In your environment, the 4 of Cups, and to me, it looks like, If you're looking at new opportunities, definitely it's about you standing up and voicing that, you're not going to take on any more if it's not going to give you what you want. Because with the Four of Cups, you're talking about, not having what you want come through. But then the other thing though too is we're talking about boredom. Looking at the Ten of Wands connected to it, it's like, well, are you facing opposition because you're not satisfied with something that you're already currently doing, but need to finish out here before you actually start making progress on something else? It almost has a world type of tone to it, but you're needing to get there. Like you're needing to do the work to get there though. But I worry about, things not going well for you in the past, and then, not seeing the offer that you want, taking on way too much, needing to get some equilibrium here. But I don't know. I look at that Seven of Wands and think some of you are choosing to do something here new before you finish something else out. And again, like facing opposition. But like this to me is like, right, it may be slow going, but you're on the right path. Now is the time, right? Your hopes and your fears, the Magician. Manifesting that cool ass shit for sure, but then needing to make something happen here. You're going to have to take care of some things here first before you even think about doing something else. And with the Magician, it could definitely represent that, you have some pretty big ideas for sure that you may want to work on. But, one straw too many with the Ten of Wands, especially if you're continuing to carry around something that isn't satisfying you, but then also with the Magician, do you have what you need? Do you have what you need right now to start making things happen? Because I look at Temperance and think, yeah, the time is right. Yeah, but it's not going to happen like immediately, especially with the Knight of Pentacles being there. But I look at the Magician and I think you're going to have to make something happen here. And it's not bad. It's just that what you've been through before was just garbage. And then coming out, the Page of Swords. Okay. So definitely needing some more information here, especially if, you're being offered something that's just going to weigh you down, right? And then with patience, it's like patiently waiting for that information to come through. You don't necessarily feel like that Page of Swords is like bad news. And then the Five of Cups. Okay. And that may be where, Temperance is coming through here with the Page of Swords. Like I said, I still don't think that it's bad news. I just think that, there may be something coming through that isn't exactly what you had hoped for. But you need to make something happen here. And there's definitely a need for you to speak up, right, about the things that may not be fully clear. When you're looking at the Ace of Wands and then with the Ten of Swords, this could definitely be about the new opportunity coming through, but you may have done this before in a different way and things didn't work out so well. And then with the King of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands, you just, maybe dealing with somebody who is piling too much on you, especially if we're talking about work. Now on the other hand, this may be about, the person that is offering you not the greatest opportunity in the world, but I'm still looking at it being like the catalyst here for things to, change, where you get to make something happen here. But, right, like it's almost like this is the path you need to take in order to get to, that opportunity, that new thing that you're wanting to start. But then looking at the Five of Cups, absolutely, we could be talking about disappointment, but it's not over because, right, like again, the Two of Cups, right? The advice there has always been that you still have the two remaining, right? I just think that for some of you, things may not go so well. You may meet some opposition because you may have done this before and things may have ended badly, but this to me looks like it is about something new coming through for sure. Now is the time for you to start acting on, those talents, right? But that's like, you need to be patient, there's still more that you need to know. You know, you may not be happy with the information that you initially get, but it's what's going to lead you to something that, you know, is going to be better, I feel like. You know, where you get to work on bigger ideas. It's just, it's going to take some time, but the time is right for these things to start taking place here. But I do think that, you know, with the Ten of Wands, besides dealing with an offer that's just going to put too much on you, I also think that it's you needing to finish up some things here before you even think about starting something new. You know, but don't like, I want to say don't throw in the towel just yet. You know, and that's where Temperance is kind of coming through. You know, and you're still there needing to speak up for yourself, but then not only that, but needing to make, you know, yourself clear. And then I look at the Page of Swords and think there needs to be more information, but what comes through may not be what you want to hear. I don't know, Libra. What I will say is things may not look so good right now, but I don't know. I have this feeling that it's not all doom and gloom here. It's actually going to get better. All right, so speak your truth. I mean, yeah, you know, with the Seven of Wands being the overall, yes. New growth. Once you speak up, there is the opportunity for new growth, albeit slow going here. But the crown chakra, I'm telling you, it's like, you know, getting that information directly from source, right? That guidance that's coming through. Your crown chakra is open. You're understanding now that this is the path that needs to be taken for you to get to that new growth, which is a good thing. But you do have to speak up. I would just be careful about accepting, you know, offers that maybe too much to handle right now. I think you need to finish off things that, you know, may not be worth continuing, and maybe focusing on, you know, the ideas that you actually want to work on. But in the meantime, you may have to take an offer that's like not that great, you know, but don't let disappointment get the best of you, you know. I mean, to me, this has very much the feeling of there's going to be a reason why you're going to have to deal with this. But it's also that you can look back and go, yeah, I remember going through all that shit, but it led me right here. You know, where you're full on the magician making some shit happen. But I do think that there's an issue about clarity on information, you know. And that may be the problem. You may have gone after things in the past without, you know, having everything that you need to know, and then, you know, things not going so well. And then look to your inner strength. You are stronger than you realize. Absolutely. You know, in looking at the King of Pentacles, you know, you may be talking about somebody that may be giving you a lot to deal with, but they may also be, you know, the person that is coming in and helping to support you, though, later on. I don't know where I'm getting that from. But anyway, treasure your loved ones. It's important to love others deeply, yeah. It's important to treasure the ones that actually support your vision and your ideas, absolutely. But look to your inner strength. Don't throw in the towel, right? Like, you can do this. It may suck ass for a little bit, but, you know, again, that magician is there. And then your advice, I keep going back to that and looking at Temperance and thinking, you know, certainly you don't want to accept things that are less than worthy of you, but it may be what you need to do for now, because it's going to get you to where you eventually want to be, even though things look like, you know, they may be disappointing right now. But I just don't feel like that. Like, I don't feel like that. I feel like the danger here is, you know, being so disappointed that you go completely out of whack, you know, and then give up. Right? Things have to happen in a certain way here. I look at the Knight of Pentacles, and it's funny because, you know, I feel the same way about the Hierophant too. Like, there's a certain way that things have to be done here, you know, because again, you're talking about somebody who is methodical, right? I don't know, Libra, that this to me just has the feeling of you may be, you know, calling it before you get to where you want to be. Libra, there's something about this one, you know, normally with the Page of Swords coming out and looking at the Five of Cups, I think disappointment, I think, you know, not getting what you want or not hearing what you want. But there's something about this that makes me think that, you know, especially with these, that you can't give in just yet. And then looking at the Magician too, you know, it's going to lead to a place where, you know, you get to work on those bigger ideas. But I think, you know, Temperance is saying that things may feel like they're out of whack for you right now. But looking at the Seven of Wands and then looking at the Knight of Pentacles, I think that, you know, things are going to progress for you, definitely, albeit slow going with the Knight of Pentacles. But I'm looking at somebody who is, you know, not just persistent, but very methodical. There is a plan. There is a plan here. You know, and then I go to the crown chakra being open, and then you being open to understanding that. This to me very much feels like one of those situations where you're going to look back on it and go, yeah, it was really rough and it was a pain in the ass, but it's led me here. Now, definitely for some of you, it's you standing up for the fact that, standing up for yourself over the fact that things may not have gone so well in the past here, and yet, you know, you're having to take an offer here that is not that great, because I see you being weighed down by it and it being a little bit too much. But then I also think there are things that you need to finish up here before you even think about doing something else. For a lot of you, you may be in a situation right now where you are very dissatisfied and not happy, which, you know, absolutely, especially in terms of work, would make sense. But looking at the Knight of Pentacles, it's like that progress will start to show up. And then I look at Temperance and think, you know, that guidance is like telling you that you're going to get to work on bigger and better things here and start making some things happen, especially if you have big ideas, as long as you hang in there. And I hate saying that, because normally it'd be like, you know, why are you dealing with this? This is crap, right? But I still see you in the middle of all this defending your choice to do this, because you look like you come out in this situation where, with the Page of Swords and the Ace of Wands, first of all, you're talking about like not having enough information here with the Page of Swords. But then naive kind of conviction when I'm looking at this one, but it's because of an opportunity with the Ace of Wands, you know, and again, it could be creative, it could be passion, relationship, or work. I feel like this is more work related in your own creative ideas and endeavors. But it didn't go so well in the past. Now, you know, it could be that you need to stand up for yourself and start, you know, actually, you know, going after those passions, because then I go back to this and think that some of you absolutely have a hidden talent, but with her showing up, the Ice Queen is a challenge. Non-action is out the window here. It's time now. Like, it's time to start taking action. It just may suck for a little bit. You may have to do the 9 to 5 and then on top of that, try to work on something else. Now, looking at the King of Pentacles and the Five of Cups, definitely there could be, you know, this offer that comes through, right? But may be really disappointing. And you may feel like, you know, you're not going to get what you want. But with the Two of Cups, right, like, it's still there. You still have the 2 remaining, right? You may not be satisfied and you may not be happy with dealing with this person, or, you know, especially if you're talking about work and you're dealing with somebody who just keeps piling stuff on you. But I don't know. I'm looking at this and I think, no, you can't call this one the way that you have in the past based on what you've experienced, because otherwise, you know, you're going to be stopping that power of the Magician coming through. I don't think it has to do with manipulation at all, because we're looking at this as hopes and fears. Now, looking at Speak Your Truth, and again, you have the Seven of Wands. But then once you do that, it's going to create this new growth, but there needs to be an openness here to source, right, with the crown chakra. And letting that kind of like download of information come through, because I'm still looking at this and thinking, yeah, there's major guidance here that may be trying to help you, you know, get some better balance, but then also not wanting to throw all of this out the window. You know, you have ideas that are worth working on. It's just that things may suck ass for now. Now, when it comes to treasure your loved ones, again, if you're having to defend yourself and your choices, then it's important to, you know, really love those around you that do support you, right? Because support is so important when it comes to doing what you actually want to do. And then look to your inner strength. And again, I go back to don't give up. Like, don't throw in the towel yet. I think that initially it's going to be one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I feel, the whole like, I'm tired of doing this. Why do I have to keep doing this? Well, it's because it's going to open the door to, the new growth, right? But do you understand that? Or are you going to let, disappointment get the best of you? That is what I'm getting from this more so than anything else. I think that there are things that, you need to speak up about, absolutely, looking at the Seven of Wands. But I look at the Magician and think there are some big things, big ideas, big inspirations that you're wanting to work on. It's just that other things may be kind of weighing you down, holding you down. But I still go back to this and think, there's a plan here. There's a plan. And you can't stop. You cannot stop the progress of this. It has to happen. I just think that some of you may be getting to a point where you're depleted and you feel disappointed by everything. But I don't think that you should throw in the towel on anything just yet.